would let me start over with better light. Hello, wonderful educators. Welcome to the first Wednesday business training of this summer. Today we're going to talk about group program because that's all I'm about. That's all I do. That's all I've been building for myself to escape from schools and agencies like that and be able to teach on my terms and to be freer and generally just not having to be in other people's buildings when I don't want to and being wherever I want. I've got this perfect tacky cliche background because I am right now traveling in Europe and I had horrible light, so this might be a bit more fun. Exactly this, being able to travel while teaching is one of the biggest shifts for teachers who are tired of relying only on private lessons and school jobs and platform of hourly work being paid one lesson at a time. Because at some point, even if we love teaching, the hourly model starts getting a bit ridiculous because there's just no way out of it. There's no way to actually become wealthier and be a bit more independent on institutions. You teach the same explanation again and again, basically. You prepare for different people separately, but it's basically the same thing that you keep doing. And you answer the same questions again and again. So you carry all the energy in every lesson, basically. You always have to be the one showing up and you need to be the one carrying the energy of each individual student at a time, which can get exhausting. And you answer the same questions and you carry all the energy. And then if you want to earn more, the answer is apparently teaching more hours. And that is not really a business plan. That is just being tired with a calendar and that is full. And some of us are like, hey, congratulations, a full calendar. Like there are a lot of tutors praying to get their first student right now. I am aware of that. So if you're in that stage, this video isn't for you. If you need some experience on the platforms, if you need to just get some more training, don't fall into the trap of never feeling qualified. But like, if you really feel like, I don't know how to put a lesson together. I have never taught anyone. I didn't get any feedback from anyone teaching or tutoring anything. This might not be for you. But if you've already done all that and you feel kind of, yeah, I don't think I can do this until the day I die, just teaching one-on-one, or teaching in a massive school and has platforms take a cut, this video is for you. Keep watching. It's not really a business plan in my point of view after having taught in schools and on platforms and on my own to be exchanging time for money like that. 1 hour for, let's say, $20, $50. I don't know how much you're charging. I was charging between $40 and $60 an hour in my last year of teaching Spanish on those platforms. So I'm going by that. But I know in the UK it's actually higher. Well, a group program gives us a different option than what I just talked about. So that's why we're going to be talking about group programs today. You take something you already know how to teach and something you already repeat, something people already need, and you turn it into a clear journey that several people can go through together. It's really simple, isn't it? I know you know what a group is, come on. But this is where teachers often get stuck. They are making the topics too vague for the group. Like traveling in Mexico. I'm like, yeah, where, with whom, like what? Traveling in Mexico isn't a topic, you know? Or English. Hey, there's only 52,000 English teachers on Preply, like one of the platforms that people teach languages on. 52,000 English teachers. Like you can't just teach English, you know what I mean? So you take something you already know how to teach, but you can't make it too vague. You need to be a bit specific. Some teachers try to include absolutely everything they know, which is also a mistake. Or they price it like a bundle of cheap lessons that are in a bundle. So it's already an upgrade, to be honest, to be charging per month or per bundle. If you're not doing that, if you're still charging one-on-one lessons, you need to start charging at least bundles. But you really want what you really want in order to be making decent money and having a lot of free time as an educator online. You're selling more of a transformation than bundles of never-ending lessons, you know? Some teachers make the mistake of building the whole thing before checking whether anyone actually wants it. We've talked about this before, and I'll keep talking about this. So today I want to walk you through how to think about all of this properly, and how to choose the topic, and how to structure it, and how to make it clear enough to sell to people, and how to avoid building a beautiful educational project that nobody understands or wants to have anything to do with because it's overwhelming. That's another mistake us educators keep making. And I'll also show you where most teachers accidentally make the offer much harder to buy than it really needs to be. So, ready? Well, the real reason group programs really matter is that I think most teachers do not need more ideas. That is not usually the problem. The problem is having too many ideas and no clear container. What do I mean? You can probably teach 10 different things. You can probably help 10 different types of people. You can probably create workbooks and challenges and private lessons and workshops and courses, memberships, speaking club, revision sessions. I did exam preparation, beginner groups, advanced groups, whatever. Like, teachers are absolute experts in creating forever. And that is the danger, because creation feels safe and selling feels exposed. And I know that you're feeling me right now. So we often hide in planning as teachers, and we're not comfortable selling because we haven't been trained for it, right? And so we say, I'm just getting it ready. But what we really mean is, I don't want to put it in front of other people yet, because then I'll find out if they really want it, and what if nobody really wants it. And that is the moment we need to get much smarter. And that's why a group program should not start with, what could I teach? It should really start with, what are people already asking for? What problem keeps repeating? What do I explain again and again? And what would be genuinely useful if I packaged it properly into that container, remember? That is where the first clue really is. For example, in Spanish Obsession, where I teach Spanish to English speakers online, I didn't particularly want to lean into like verb tables and conjugation practice and on Facebook marketing, because I was thinking, surely that's what everybody else is doing, and surely that's too basic. But people kept clicking and responding mostly to those things that I found super boring and basic. So the lesson is really simple here. Do not be too clever for your own audience. And if they keep showing you what they need, listen. That is where your group program may be hiding, you know, in that little basic thing everybody's asking for. The first question you should be asking yourself when you're building your group program is, where are you repeating yourself? So where am I already repeating myself? Because repetition is not always a problem. Repetition can be a product. Like language learning, we all know that you can't just do 2 Spanish lessons or 20 Spanish lessons and be fluent unless you're doing some sort of, high-tech brain surgery. I don't think you can do that. Everybody knows it. I have learned 4 foreign languages in my life, and it takes years to master them. It always does. So repetition can be a product. I have a membership where people can come and improve their conversation. I have a story club. I have a lot of exciting things that my Spanish students can do. Challenges, a paid WhatsApp group, all sorts of different, communities and memberships, which is what you're all about if you want to be making regular money and not rely on that one-on-one. If you really want to get sick, none of us do, but if you want to keep receiving money, even if you don't feel like, teaching your one-on-one class and you want to have that extra income, it's very important. So repetition can be a product. If you can package things and give them to people on repeat without always doing all the work, you're golden. Still, don't let people tell you that AI stole all the jobs. It did some, but people still value people. I value people. I buy from real people. And people buy from me still, 3 years into this AI thing. I mean, we have so many AI language courses now, and I really don't have less students. People who like you, who like your style and how you're talking, how you're teaching, they will always find you and want to work with you. So forget about all those fears as well. Your program can be profitable. It is worth building it this year. If you keep explaining the same thing, like grammar points or advice for people or anything, over and over again, and that same confidence issues that you're dealing with your students, or the same setup processes, pronunciation mistakes, same business foundation, beginner confusions, stuff like this, that might be your program. Not the entire subject, a specific repeated problem. Like, let's say if you teach English conversation is too wide. Even English conversation is too much. So how to speak up in meetings without freezing, that might be specific enough. I have conversations for people who specifically go to Mexico. So Mexican conversations, Mexican references, Mexican culture, and people like things specifically made for them like this. Even Spanish for travel conversations in Mexico, again, it is much easier to understand than beginner Spanish. So let me check my notes. I forgot what was my next point. Yeah, if you're live with me, I know some of you are, you can type in the comment. If you're live with me, I want you to answer this. What is something you keep explaining again and again? What is something that you keep explaining again and again? It could be a lesson topic, it could be a mindset issue, it could be a student habit, it could be something people always ask before they are ready to work with you. So write it down, do not polish it, and just write the messy version. Like, it can be, my students don't know how to practice between lessons, so they need some sort of homework or revision maybe. Parents don't know what level the child is, so maybe you need some sort of testing. Adults want to speak but panic, right? I get a lot of that for my Spanish courses. People know a lot and they've been studying for years, but then the conversation bit, when you put in on the spot and you need to start actually saying something, oh my God, all of us are like, oh dear. So that's a thing that people need to be consistently working on and facing to actually have that transformation, right? Teachers want to leave platforms, but don't know where to find students. Like, that is my niche right now here with you. Like, everybody wants their own students and not be in a school and not be on a platform, but how do you get your students? How do you build a program? How do you get them in? How do they pay? What should you say in the emails? Like, this is what I specialize in. So that is my looking niche now. Those messy sentences can be valuable because it is real language, and people who ask us these things in real language are really telling us what people need and how they speak, so use it. The difference between a topic and a sellable promise is the next point for today. You need, I really want you to understand this part well. A topic is what you teach, but a promise is why someone cares about what you teach. So, promise, right? Buyers respond to promises, and Spanish pronunciation, for example, is a topic, but stop sounding like you're reading Spanish with English sounds is closer to a promise. Like, stop sounding like this or be ready for that. It is promising something specific. Exam prep is a topic, but walk into the speaking exam knowing what you're going to say is closer to a promise. Okay, business setup for tutors is a topic. Set up the simple pipeline that lets people book, pay, meet you, and receive materials without chaos is a promise. Okay, so the promise does not need to be dramatic or anything like that, but it needs to be clear. Your promise needs to be clear and believable. Okay, so if people don't believe it's possible, they will be like, nah, she's talking about nonsense, right? They need to believe what you're promising is doable. I know that a lot of people are actually quite silly and they believe platforms that tell them you will be fluent in 7 days. I don't think that's you. I don't think that's most people who invest into high quality education. So don't try and play those games with people. Do not promise 10K months from one workbook. For example, don't promise people they will change their entire life by Friday, because that's not going to happen. So teachers already have credibility because we know that learning takes time. Yeah. So like, that learning takes time. You're teaching. So use that. You can still sell strongly without lying and promising nonsense, but have a specific concrete promise of a transformation for your student. Here is the specific step I can help you take. That's it. Yeah, that's enough. And once you have the promise, the structure becomes much easier. You're taking people from where they are now to a specific result, and that's it. Not everything you know, or like not everything they will ever need, because that would be overwhelming. and people don't like that, but a specific result. For a first group program, I like something like 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, 4 to 6 weeks, a little focused something. Just try it out. Short enough that people can imagine finishing it. So don't do a yearly subscription at the beginning. Might be too much for people. Short enough that they can imagine finishing it, but long enough that there is real progress for them. So for each week, you need to be asking things like, what does this person need first? So for my example, it would be some sort of evaluation where they are in Spanish. Are they complete beginners? How do they learn? How are they a visual learner? Do they have any learning difficulties? All sorts of questions that I would like to take notes on and discuss with the person to begin, to even begin teaching them or planning for them, right? I usually do a welcome call, even for group members who don't get one-on-one lessons with me. For people who come and just watch my live lessons, I usually do a welcome call with them to know my community well. They can ask questions there. I do that for both for Spanish and for my teachers, because I really believe that we should know who we're selling to. I'm one of the old school people like that. I'm sorry, I got allergy. Okay, where will they get stuck? What will they need to practice? Where will they be needing feedback? What should they leave with? Okay, let me say it again. For each week, ask, what does this person need first? What do they need next? Where will they get stuck? Most likely, because a lot of people did, and you've seen that, or they asked you the same question again. What will they need to practice? Where will they need feedback? What should they leave with? That gives you structure, that gives you everything you need. For example, if the program is about creating a first group offer, the journey might be first choose the right problem, then define the person, then shape the offer, and then price it, and then write a simple invitation. Then talk to people and test it. Very practical. That's all we need at this stage. No need for a giant portal with everything or 30 videos or like building a university. We don't need to be doing it. The more confused your students are at the beginning, the simpler your structure needs to be. Sometimes I start with a 3-day challenge, a 30-day challenge, which was just conjugation of a verb in Spanish. I do, he does, or I do, I did, I will do. Basic, the most basic of the basic is usually the best to attract new people into your system and potential students into your circle. That is proper teaching. We need to meet them where they are. And that is also proper listening. Now, how you're going to price your program? That's the next question. So we look at the price and immediately probably think, would I pay that? Is that too much? What if they think I'm greedy? What if someone can't afford it? What if I'm not good enough yet? This is where we need to be careful, because we are not selling to the same people that we are. Because if you're, for example, talented for languages and you've done 7 of them and you're just like independently studying and you never had a tutor, and then you think, would I pay this much for tutoring? That was my case. I never had a tutor, but then I became a tutor. I cannot be thinking about my students the same way I thought about myself. When I was very young, we couldn't afford tutoring. When I was older, I was very independent and I kind of didn't need one. I would just study in all sorts of other places. So I am not my target group. I am not the person I'm trying to sell my tutoring to, if you think about it. So a lot of people will struggle with things that you didn't even struggle with for your particular subject or whatever you're teaching. So remember that. This is quite a big lesson. And yes, there are people who will be happy to pay you, and there are people who will need your help on a much more basic level than you think. A lot of us just make things unnecessarily big and complicated instead of just inviting people to a simple session like this one, So, because if you price from guilt, I couldn't afford it when I was a child, so what if other people can't afford it and all that stuff? That's another danger that teachers can get into, because we kind of always go and think we should be sacrificing our time and our resources and our emotions for other people, because that's the part of, that's training. That's what all teachers go through, basically. That's what the job description is, no? So you might be one of the people who tend to underprice, underappreciate whatever they're doing. And a group program is not automatically cheap because there is more than one person in it. That's not what's happening. It is a structured learning experience you're building for people. If the group is clear, specific, and well guided, and people get proper support, it has value. It can be a multi-hundred, multi-thousand a year type of program. I'm usually talking in dollars. So one of my programs is $555 a month, a year in this case, the Spanish one, which is still not a lot if you think about it. Language schools, physical language schools, they would charge much more. So people are happy to pay that. And my teacher training is in the thousands of dollars, and people, again, happily pay that because tuition fees at any sort of business university would be triple what I charge. So there is always an audience that will value and appreciate what you're doing. Your belief in that is half the work, because until you get your proof, you'll be doubting yourself. But if your program is, as I said, clear, specific, well-guided, and people get proper support, it has value. And the price should reflect the result, the audience, and the support and your capacity. Okay? So not just how many Zoom calls is there, in the package, but because that is how teachers undercharge chronically. They count hours, but the buyer is not paying for the hours. They are paying for, am I clear on where I am and how I'm going to do this? Are they guided? Is there correction for them when they send something to that group? Maybe is there feedback? Are they getting more confident by spending time around you? Do they save a lot of time and make fewer mistakes as they go? All of these things are important. Start with a price you can deliver well and without resentment. So if you're one of that is the minimum. If you're one of the people who charge like $10 an hour and you teach 10 people a day and you're like asking yourself, my God, I need to have this student now and the 7th one is coming. Oh, so tired. I'd like a coffee. Like, you're at that point, you're not even enjoying your job. You're compromising the quality of your lessons. Some people hate when people say this, but no, you cannot do 7 hours of teaching well in one day. There is a reason for which most schools in the world keep teaching time to a maximum of 5 hours a day. Normal contact hours, 4 or 5 hours a day with students. If people do 7, 8, 9 hours a day of teaching, they're usually not enjoying their job that much. It is not sustainable to be doing this. And you resent the price if you think about it. When I was teaching $10 lessons, maybe 6, 7 years ago, I would always another one. And I was doing a good job. Those students passed their exams. I raised their grades. I only got good reviews. But I wasn't having any fun because I was just repeating the same lesson over and over to those same kids over and over and repeating myself and just being tired doing the 7th one a day, And that was $70 that day. Like, I have one member joining my Spanish monthly live and that's $70 now. Like, I cannot even explain how moving into teaching group can change your life, how it changed my life. Because I used to charge literally $10 an hour, and now I charge at least $55. And I have students that are paying monthly to be able to do things in these live lessons with me, group lessons. And that multiplies whatever I'm able to make every month. This is what you can be doing as well. Don't start with some silly price that you're going to regret, driving yourself into the ground, trying to serve people for $10. Okay, don't do that. When people don't buy from you, you don't need to be assuming it's because of the high price that you're putting on things. Sometimes they need more explaining. Sometimes, yes, they don't have that money. They don't have it yet. Maybe they never will. Other people will. But often that real issue is that the offer is fuzzy, right? It's not even the price. People hesitate when they can't tell if it's for them, if it's going to, they're asking questions like, will I be able to do it after? Or how does it work? Or how much time does it take? What if I miss a session? Is this beginner friendly? Is it too advanced for me maybe? Should I take private lessons instead of this? Why is YouTube not enough? So many questions that people have. And A clear offer in the end should feel calming. People should feel, oh, I understand what this is, and that feeling matters. And because confusion delays decisions and delayed decisions become ghosting in the end, you really need to be acting fast and be understandable and be clear about what you're doing with those people. Okay. So if you're hearing a lot of send me more info and I'll think about it later and maybe next time and I'm interested, but don't immediately assume that you need to be better at chasing people or pricing lower. But look at the positioning and the promise and the clarity of what you're giving those people. Here is the key points today. A group program is not built from everything you can teach. It is built from one problem your people care enough to solve. And that is the difference. A weak group program will say, here are my lessons, this and this and that one. A strong group program will say, here is the path from stuck to clear. And before you build the whole thing, you need conversations. And people will tell you what they want if you ask them, or if you read what they comment on YouTube, on Facebook, and in many other places. So ask people what they want, watch what they click, listen to the words they use, notice what they complain about, and pay attention when they ask the same question again and again. Because there might be your group program right there, because they're giving you clue. Use them. So your task after this live, because we're at the end now, you made it, is very simple. Do not go and build a whole program tonight. Do not open Canva and make 20 slides yet. First, write down the repeated problem. Then write one clear sentence. Then message me that sentence. The sentence should say who you help with so that they can do what kind of situation. Like, I help English speakers in Mexico have confident conversations with locals. Could be a topic. Okay. Oh, sorry, not a topic. Topic would be teaching Spanish or Spanish in Mexico. This is your promise. Write your promise and let me know your promise. It can be in the comments. I don't know where you're seeing this. If it's in our Facebook group or YouTube, write it in the comments. Write your sentence, your promise sentence in the comments so that we can have a look at it together. I want to see it because this is where we can clean it up and make it stronger. And please, if you are a teacher, you probably already have more valuable experience than you realize. You may not know how to package it yet, and that's different. But you're not starting from zero. You're a teacher already. That is not nothing. You already have material. You need to just put your offer together. If you want me to help you with the foundation, I am actually releasing this summer, it's already out and available, my teeny tiny mini course, which is not the 6-week Teacher to CEO Business Builder program. That is much more in depth, and it's actually guiding you personally from your business name to your website to your marketing, social media, absolutely everything. So if you are looking for this type of coaching, you can let me know. You can book a call with me. You can contact me at any social media that you find under this video. But if you just want to start, making your escape plan from your school or the platform that you're currently on, and you want to start getting your own clients soon and putting your little group program together, I am going to give you the link to my $37 mini course and guided journal that is there for you. It's a completely new thing. It's got 5 little videos and a journal that is very hands-on. You need to fill it in, and that will absolutely help you get your business started. If it will help you map your skills and your audience and your first offer direction as well, and the next practical steps without making this bigger and scarier than it actually needs to be. So message me CEO, if you want the link. And if you are not ready, come back next Wednesday, because next Wednesday we're going to be looking into why is it so hard to walk away from schools and platforms, even when we kind of hate them. That one is important because it is not only about strategy, it is also about safety and identity and conditioning, and all of those things are very important, and we all go through them. And I want to thank you for being here today. I am going to be here next week talking about how that very strange guilt teachers feel when they start wanting more, when we start wanting more and we start building our own businesses. So I want you to know that you are allowed to want better work and you are allowed to want better money and you are allowed to stop building your life around systems that are happy to use your care and your effort and your skills and your love, but not pay properly for it like those group programs get. So send me your sentence, send me who you're going to be helping and what with, and I'll see you next week. Bye. I will see you in the comments.